chit chat about Mac because I'm a Mac person forever. Yes.
We're
Okay,
in.
we're in. Except I don't seem to have a camera on the YouTube one. For pity's sake. The Facebook one doesn't matter because that doesn't record straight away. Why is there no camera? Isn't that bonkers?
Did you enjoy your trip to America?
It was super. Yeah. There we are. Brilliant. Yes, America was amazing. I'm just going to go live on Facebook, but we'll still chat. Yeah, Florida was brilliant. It was so good in so many ways. All the people I was meeting, the events I was going to, the weather, the ducks, having some time to be podcasty with podcasty people, and like all of that.
It must have been so inspirational, just feeling like getting the knowledge and the inspiration and what it's all about. And I always feel like I'm a slight latecomer to everything. I'm a latecomer to podcasts, to be honest, but I'm just, now that I'm in, I'm fully in.
Brilliant. I mean, I am as well, to be honest. When I started this show, I had listened to a few true crime podcasts myself, and I still do. But the way it was a matter of, look, this is something I can do, so let's give it a go. And it's become so hugely important that it wasn't even, it's not like I've always wanted to do a radio show or always wanted to do a podcast, and it's become so important to my life. And like you say, heading off to Florida and speaking with all these people who also do podcasts, and it's just been brilliant.
I once did a radio interview, and at the end, the lady had said, I thought she said, "You have a face for radio." And I thought, that's a bit rude. But so I went, "Oh," and I said, "Sorry, what was that?" And she said, "You've got a voice for radio." And I thought, oh, well, that's so much better.
Goodness for that.
That's so much better. No one wants to hear they've got the face. Kind of got the face for radio as well. But if you like to chat, what's there not to love about?
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that I realized I like more than I ever knew I liked as well. So that's been really eye-opening. I like, speaking with people, meeting new people, talking to complete strangers, which I'm very good at, it turns out, which is lovely. So anyway, let's get started, Joanne. Thanks very much for joining me today. I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro. So we are live right now on Facebook and YouTube on the Creativity Found group and channel. And what I'm doing and thoroughly enjoying is having a chat with the Creativity Found Collective members. So for those who don't know, the Creativity Found Collective is a promotional and a networking membership. So talking about meeting people and chatting people for artists and crafters who share their creative skills with grown-ups through workshops, online courses, kits, subscriptions, things like that. It is also recently a membership for business support enterprises who can use their expertise to help those artists and crafters to grow their businesses, to do more of the arty and the crafty and less of the business stuff without costing the earth. So it is a big kind of networking, promotional. It's all about art and craft activities, obviously inspired by the Creativity Found podcast, where I speak to people like yourself on a future episode who have found or refound their creativity later in life. There are links in the description to join the collective, to have a look at Joanne's page on the website, and various other bits and bobs all around creativityfound.co.uk. So do have a look at those. But in the meantime, this is Joanne Robinson. And
hello,
Joanne, how are you?
I'm great, thank you, Claire.
Good. Start by telling us then how it is that you help adults to get creative.
Well, I am part of a company called the Little Art School, and we teach people how to draw and paint. And we believe that learning to draw and paint can bring you the most incredible joy. And we have been doing it for 10 years now. Myself, I've got a business partner, Melissa Haddow, so we come from very different backgrounds and we've got a very complementary skill set. I think for anybody starting out in a business, it's a lonely old world. So we're very lucky that we have each other. And we've built a team. There's about 20 of us now in our team, and the Little Art School has different areas. One is that we teach children in classrooms. We teach how to draw and paint. And then we teach online for adults. And our online course comes with all the materials. It's highly structured. So we will start you off in watercolor and drawing a line and learning how to sketch. And then we will take you right through over 6 levels to you painting Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring in oil and knowing that you're actually an incredible artist, because everybody has it within them to learn to do this amazing thing. And it brings you joy you can't imagine, actually. It's not a constant level of, wow, look at me, I'm brilliant, I'm brilliant, I'm brilliant. I'm yet to find the adult that says that. But that you make mistakes, and we've built a community, and the community is incredibly supportive. We're all about building self-esteem, building self-confidence. There's no crits. I loathe art crits. It's about saying, wow, didn't you do this well? And people saying, well, I struggled with that, and other people going, oh, we struggle with that too, so we tried this. And not, that's wrong. Which, if you've ever been to an art class where they do crits, it's horrific. So that's one element of our business. And we also have that's my dog. We also have 2 charities, the Little Art Stars, where we work to use art to build self-esteem with vulnerable children. And coming from a variety of backgrounds and situations, working with children struggling with grief. We work with young carers, working with lots and lots of children. And we have a Dementia Arts Trust charity, another charity, and that does what it says on the tin. We go into care homes and community settings and we deliver art lessons to people living with dementia, and it's magic.
So, as well as the practicality of letting people know that they can draw or paint, you're obviously embracing the wider well-being, general lifetime joy and aspects and benefits that people can get from that, other than just being able to draw a picture.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, for us, we worked out at the beginning, it was about teaching people to draw and paint. And then when we really knuckled into the why are we doing this? We knew it was about building self-esteem. It was about building self-confidence. And when you start to feel confident that you can do this thing that you thought you couldn't do, you start to realize that there are many elements in your life that you could have a go at, and it might work or it might not work. But the actual process, the creative process, for all creatives out there, we all know this. It's the ultimate of mindfulness and happiness, and you sink in and you can't think about all the things that are going on, the horrors in Gaza and Ukraine, and the worries about the cost of living crisis. When you're in the thick of that nose doesn't look right, and you're painting and you're trying to get shadows and light, you can't think about all those things. Your mind is so blissfully empty of it. You're focused in on what you're doing. And I'm sure, Claire, you speak to creators all the time, whether it's knitting or crochet or embroidery or dance or theatre, all of these creative elements. And one of the things when we spoke for the podcast, and I feel passionately about this, is all these elements are being stripped out of education. And I don't know whether that's at the root of our mental health crisis with young people, but we do have a mental health crisis with young people, and they maybe need creativity in their life, because we all do. I think we all do. And sucking it out and saying, no, you just do maths. No, it's...
Yeah, and going back to you talking about crits, that can be, it's certainly what I've heard from a number of guests, is when they were young being told that whether it was a poem or whatever it may be, that it wasn't good, which I don't quite know how you can say something isn't good when it's a piece of art or a piece of music or a piece of written word. But that can really put people off from a very young age, because
definitely the amount of people we have on our online course who gave up art when they were young because they were told they were no good. I stopped studying art at school when I was 14. I loved it as a child. I'd sit and copy pictures and draw pictures out of my Disney annuals and design houses. And that's what I did as a child. I had my favorite things were my colored pencils or my felt tips. And at 14, to be told that and thought, oh, well, the art teacher knows I'm rubbish at this. So I stopped. Or comparison, actually, you start to compare yourself. And I did a really interesting thing 10 years ago when I started the Little Art School. I went round primary schools all over Ayrshire, where I live. I probably spoke to about 3,000 children in 6 months. All these different classrooms. I'd go to like 5 classes a day and speak to all these children. And when I asked the P1s, which is reception class in England, when I asked them, do you like to draw and paint? Put your hand up if you like to draw and paint. Every single hand. Are you good at drawing and painting? Every single hand. By the time you got to P7, which is I think is that year 6, the final year at primary school. And do you like to draw and paint? Probably a third of the kids, maybe half, less than half, put their hands up to say they liked it. Is anyone good at it? No one put their hand up. Because at 11, you're not going to do that, are you? And at that point, you can see, where did this change? About, probably 8, 9 years old. Oh, I'm no good at this. He's much better. So I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
And to me, that it's like the comparison is just the death of progress as an individual. You can't keep progressing if you're comparing where you are in your journey to where someone else is on their journey. They might have started a lot further earlier than you. They might go on to be a Turner Prize winning artist, and you just want to sit and paint that view. It doesn't matter whether anyone likes it or not, but I think that's why we put self-esteem building at the heart of what they're not tag words. They're not like stuff to stick on a website. When we recruit staff, when we train staff, when we communicate with our customers, when we do anything, everyone in the team, it's like, is this building self-esteem? Are people going away from the class, whether it's somebody living with dementia or a 5-year-old or a troubled youngster or someone on the adult course, are they going away from each class feeling better about themselves? And that's at the root of it. And that's what you can do with painting.
Definitely. In that kind of vein, if people are put off for whatever reason, or they stop for whatever reason, or they never did it in the first place, how are you finding what is enticing grown-ups to come and do your online sessions to start? Because it can be quite a scary thing to do as a grown-up.
Big question. So we began the online course in lockdown, like lots and lots of people. We had to pivot as a business. Our income stream stopped overnight. We pivoted. We launched this online course, and we've been creating it for the last 3 years. And people have come to us and they're loving it. But we're really only now, well over 3 years on, beginning to market it. So now we're starting to ask, who is our customer actually? Who are they? Clearly, this is the wrong way around. We should, but like lots of businesses, you just go with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting. We've started to ask our customers what made you want to do it? And for so many of them, it was, I loved drawing and painting as a child. I always felt like I wasn't very good, but I'd really like to learn how to do it. And what attracted them to us is we're not like, you wouldn't, because you're a creative person, but some people, if they're asked a question like, tell us a story, just make it up.
Yeah.
Total blank. Right. So give someone sorry, I've got something in my eye. Give somebody a piece of paper and say, draw a picture. What? So for us, it's really structured. We are going to take you step by step. We are going to hold your hand and we're going to be your cheering squad. And every lesson, you don't have to think about what you're going to draw, because we're going to say, now you're going to pick up your pencil. Now you're going to pick up your brushes. Now we're going to mix washes. Then we're going to work out how to use acrylics, how to use gouache, pastel, oil, colored pencil, everything. We will tell you. And then you do your lesson, and then you're going to go off and think, oh, I know how to do it now. So then I can go. So often it is people who enjoyed it at some point in the past. They've got a memory of it and think, do you know what? I always wanted to learn, and maybe now's the time. So I just started learning piano 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
I've really wanted to, and I've been really inspired because my business partner started probably about 2 years ago, and I thought, no, I'm going to learn. I've just been saying, oh yeah, I'd love to learn the piano. I really want to learn the piano, and it's just that taking that leap and saying, right, it's now. Now's the time. Now's the time to learn to draw and paint.
Brilliant.
And then you've got to find the right teacher, and you've got to find a teacher who can speak to you. And you know, and it might be us. It might be me. I teach the course, or it might be someone else. It might be someone at your village hall, or a YouTube video or something. But we started through YouTube. That's how we began. We just did something called the Daily Draw for free every single day through lockdown, and we were doing it for kids, and it went absolutely more than we could have ever imagined. And because it was for free, there was no pressure. You just say, you know, come on, today we're going to draw a frog, and then people would sit down and draw a frog, and parents were drawing, grandparents were drawing, and then the people go, oh, we were following your videos and we really loved it. Could you do a course? And then,
brilliant.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about community. I'm going to talk about a creative community from the point of view of Creativity Found, but also from the point of view of, it sounds like this is something you have as well with the people doing your courses. How does a person do your course? You like,
so you sign up for it online. We send you all the materials. It's like Christmas. They come in a beautiful box, literally that big. This big box arrives. It's got all your art materials. You open it up, you press start, lesson 1, and you draw with us. And you do that for 30 lessons. It will take you through 3 different terms. And when you finish those 30 lessons, you can sign up for level 2. And then your next big box of materials will arrive, and you'll do level 2, and you onwards and onwards until you do level 6. So it's 180 lessons in total. And each lesson, some lessons might take about an hour and a half. Some lessons could take you 3 hours. So it's a big time commitment. We recommend about a year for a level. Some people are doing 2 levels in a year. Some people are taking 2 years to do. You only get a year, but you know, people need extra months, so you can extend the course, your access to the course, and do it over a bit further time. But building the community has been really interesting for me, because when we started, my biggest fear was, well, I just, you know, while we did adult classes in studios, there were problems with them, but the nicest thing that came out were the friendships and the sense of encouragement. So how can we replicate that? And we did it through 2 things. One was a Facebook group, which has very strict rules about that it's about positivity. It's not to go on and say, I don't like the way you did that, Swan. And it has been really joyful, and it's been lovely. And then we had an art holiday up here in Ayrshire. We live by the sea. We're based by the sea in Ayrshire in Scotland. And people came up, and what was really interesting is, as these new people, nobody's ever met each other in person before, and you'll have this, Claire, all the time, I'm sure. But we've been communicating for 2 years. So everyone's walking in, and it's like, Tracy, Mel, big hugs. We knew each other. Those relationships had been formed. And I don't know whether it's being, you know, I'm in my 50s. And when the kids talk about friends that they've made, you're like, it's not a real friend, is it? And now I'm kind of going on and I'm thinking, oh, actually, guys, no, you're right. You've built a connection. You've found your tribe. And that's what we're building at Little Art School. We're building a tribe of people who love art, who love being with nice, kind people who just want to get joy out of it. It's non-competitive. It's lovely spirit. And so I joined Creativity Found last year, but as I said, you know, we had the most mental year last year, so I'm just starting to become part of the community. So I came onto one Facebook chat. Was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was in January.
And from that already, I've made a really great connection. And it was really interesting what you were talking about with business people coming in to help creatives. We can't all be good at everything. And I'm really lucky because I have a business partner who is a businesswoman. A lot of the things I'm not very good at, she's brilliant at. So between us, we do cover that. But there's still gaps. And one of the gaps is SEO, I would say, which I find blows my mind. I don't understand it. And also there's a part, like an 8-year-old child in me going, don't understand it. You're using words I don't understand. And now I'm in a panic. And And she spoke about it, it was Kelly, she spoke about it in a way that just made it more accessible, you know, and starting to have a conversation with her. Now, if you type into your Google SEO consultants and you're going to get a million. So being able to come into a community where there are people, who get creatives, they understand that we're not multi-million pound companies with endless budgets to pay for consultancy, but that we really value people who get what we do. And obviously you're building a collective that has both sides of that equation in. And I think that business side is really important, because if you want to build a business from your creative, you know, following your creative love, it's not a business if you're not selling anything.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great. There is nothing wrong with that. And because we've been at it for 10 years now at the Little Art School, I do have people, startups, coming to speak to me about it, and they're saying, right, I'm going to set myself up as a limited company. And it's like, well, how many of you are there in this limited company? Me. It's like, well, you're a sole trader then. But no, because it makes me look like I'm a hobbyist. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It means you don't have to have value tax returns in the same way. You don't have to jump through a lot of hoops. Don't try to be, don't try to make yourself into a big business before you're ready to do that. And also, don't feel like you have to. I think there's quite a bit of pushing, like, well, you must want to employ people. Why? It's really hard work. We employ people. It's hard work. And if you just do your creative thing, maybe that's not what you want.
Well, then we're touching on something else here, which is the value. And I see it with podcasters, and they feel that their work, their art, their show, whatever, isn't valued until it's monetized.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's what I want to do. And I do, worry that should be your starting point. Also worry that you might get super excited that it's going to happen quickly and it doesn't, and then you get disappointed. It's like kind of finding other values in what you're doing right now than financial, and then yes, it may become financial.
Yeah,
but
and understanding the time. That I think that's the key, that it takes a long, long time. We're 10 years into this game, and I started by being Del Boy this time next year. Didn't happen. This time next decade, maybe. But it is that slow thing, and if you've not got that love for it and a reason to do it, every time I create and teach a lesson, I literally feel like, God, I'd do this for free, which is just as well, because quite often I have.
Yeah.
And so you've really got to love it to be able to develop that thing. But also, you can pursue a hobby seriously without monetizing it. I mean, so with art, there's this sense of, right, well, I need to now be, if I'm not showing in a gallery, or if I'm not selling my work, then I'm not a real artist. It's like, well, look at the pianist who plays for hours a day and gets a great deal of joy, but they're not in Carnegie Hall. Are they not a real pianist? I don't know why we do it with some creative things and not others. I compare to music all the time, partly because my kids are really musical and they do a lot of music. And I watch their endless hours of practice, playing the same thing again and again and again and making mistakes. And then on other levels, you think, for example, with painting, people think they should just be able to do it straight away. And you can't. You're going to have to go through a long process of becoming really familiar with chucking stuff in the bin and going, it's only a bit of paper. It's really cost me nothing, this. I mean, it's a bit of paper. And that's that learning process, that growth mindset of constantly challenging yourself. It's exciting. But with business, I think I love the idea behind the collective, Claire. What I really enjoyed about that chat was the understanding for the first time for me, really, of all sides of the collective, of the business people, of the people who have services to offer, and the creatives who want to grow these businesses.
Yeah. And you were saying yourself about being isolated, or not isolated, but you have a business partner, so you do have someone you can talk to, but oftentimes you may not have that person nearby to talk to, and just a chat, or knowing that there's someone else in this particular group who's in a similar situation to you. Or you might go there and say, I'm thinking about doing this. Does anybody have any experience of it? I mean, somebody was talking to me recently, they're not a member yet, but they will be, about online courses. And I'm like, well, I know some people who might be able to like give you some advice on that. And this is where we're getting together with advice from the different disciplines. And going back to the talent and learning thing. So I've just, the latest episode of the podcast is with Bianca Girola, who's a botanical artist, and I've just edited her book, and her ethos is definitely that as well. It's like, she even says it in the soundbite at the beginning, I put that in, is that, you know, talent isn't necessarily there. Oftentimes you think with artists, like you just said, they should just be able to produce it. But it does take practice. And she teaches in this book, as you're talking about, on a kind of line by line basis. It's specifically for flowers, but it starts at a very
totally.
and
It's
then you build
such a
on your
myth.
practice.
It's such a myth that you're born with this talent, and it's a myth. I've got such strong feelings about this. I really want to do a PhD on. I studied history initially, and I want to do a PhD at some point when the business is all going and all the rest of it. And my kids have gone all left home because I've got 4 kids. But I want to write a PhD on how artists were trained through the centuries, really from Giotto in the 14th century through Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Constable, Turner, right down to the early 20th century. Because how artists learned was, well, certainly in the Middle Ages and early modern period, they were apprenticed. And they would start by sweeping the floor for 2 years, and then they might get to paint mixing, and then they might get to build up, and then eventually, after they've been there about 7 years, they might be allowed to block in on the canvases. It was a taught skill, always. And even as we move into the 19th century with people like the Pre-Raphaelites, they would sit in art galleries and copy other artists' work for hours and hours and hours. That's how you learn. Just in the same way that a pianist learns by playing other people's music.
Somebody else's music.
At some point in the 20th century, this whole thing happened where it's like, oh no, it's not real work if it's not real art if you're copying, because you've got to create it. Can you imagine saying to somebody who's 6 months into playing the violin, sorry, can you only compose? We only want to listen to your own compositions. They're like, but I've not got onto A yet. I only know C, D, and you've not even learned all the notes, and you've got to compose. And that's what we tell artists. Well, you've just got to compose. You've got to do it. You've got to create from nothing. It's terrifying, and it all comes down to, I think, a modern art movement which has turned totally monetized art. So you've got paintings that sell for millions of pounds, which are mainly absolutely incomprehensible. But someone says, oh, this spirit force moved me. I can just imagine someone like Da Vinci looking at it thinking, what? It's a white canvas with a dot on. So it's really controversial because there's so many emotions really about it. But that training of an artist for centuries was learning a skill. Not just sitting down and letting it go.
Yeah. That was exactly my experience when I did dance at uni for my degree, and it was the early 90s, and choreography was the thing that was valued. So I am much happier dancing somebody else's choreography and interpreting it. I absolutely love that. But we were valued on and judged towards our degree on the choreography that we were putting out and the new stuff that it always had to be new and innovative. I thoroughly enjoyed my time, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. I'm just going to read a comment. Actually, I've got a comment on Facebook from Kat Wood, who says, I can't say, but I so agree. You have to be in it for the love. The money comes later.
Well, let's hope so, Kat, eh?
So what about the future? I mean, obviously you got to learn to play the piano and do a PhD, but what about
with the little art school, we're in quite an exciting period, really. I think we, like lots of businesses, because we've got a big team and 2 charities that we had to keep going, we went into survival mode through lockdown and the pandemic, and we've come out of that now, and we're in growth mode. But where we were the week before the pandemic, I'm not exaggerating, we were in our lawyer's office signing all the paperwork, and we were about to franchise our business, our children's art classes across the UK. We'd been working on that for 6 years. Obviously, then it all went boom. The world, you can't franchise when you can't actually. We couldn't even we couldn't get into a classroom. So we're back to that. So that's part of the business is being our children's studio business is being franchised, and the online course, really it's about growing it. Yesterday I had an inquiry from someone from South Africa, and we've got people doing it in America and Australia. There's no geographic boundaries to an online course. That's the joy of it. You don't have to live within 10 miles of where I live to do this. We can reach you wherever you are, and our community can go wherever we need it to. So it's the growth of those two things. But our charities they're not a sideline. They're really at the heart of what we do, and we really believe in using art to be part of our community and to strengthen and reach out to the most vulnerable members of our community. So, it's amazing, actually. We all love what we do, and we've got a brilliant team. I mean, that's the thing. We were just talking about our values as a company. We're really honing them down so that we know what we believe, but we want to be able to really shout about it a bit more. And so the things that we're all together talking about our values, about family, about the environment, and just looking around the room thinking, God, what amazing people. We're so lucky we've brought this group together. So for us moving forward, it's about, just growing the skill sets of our team and these amazing people and watching it go.
Yeah.
And hopefully it might be a little bit about the money. But even if it's not, my husband would love that. But even if it's not, it's going to be about the joy. Just the joy of drawing and painting.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody watching this who's thinking, but I really can't paint, honestly, go. Our intro pack's like 60 quid, and it'll start you off. And I know if anybody did that who thought, well, I can't do it, you'd get to the end of those 2 lessons and go, I can actually, and then sign on for the rest of the course.
That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, good. It can be scary to start, but nobody dies, do they?
Don't, it's only a bit of paper.
Exactly.
Only a bit of paper.
So give it a go. Okay. Thanks so much for speaking today.
It's lovely. As always, Claire, it's lovely. And it's such a great community. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much. So this live has been brought to you. It worked really well today. We came in a little bit late, but the live worked really well. I'm getting my tech sorted. The live was brought to you by Riverside, which is the platform I use to record the podcast. Over on creativityfound.co.uk/business. That's where you can also currently find some networking groups, but also I've put up there some of the good apps that I use to create podcasts, to create live streams, to do things like this, to make videos. So do have a look at those. In the meantime, there are links in the description for this video. I'm going to make them into some lovely little reels as well, which I will tag Joanne in an Instagram. So do go and follow Joanne and connect with me at creativityfound.co.uk at any time. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.